and welcome to the next Ditch Witch Diaries. We are going to be continuing on with our spices, and I am excited to share with you the next spice. So let me just get this. Let me get mine all set up. Cinnamon! Cinnamon. And we're back. Like I said, we're going to be revisiting these. We're going to have some similar stories. So it's one of those spices and commonly used. So, and this is a very interesting one. There's two types of cinnamon we're going to be talking about. We have Cinnamomum verum, which is true cinnamon, and Cinnamomum aromaticum, which is cassia. So this is cinnamon, and you can see the different things there, and that's what it looks like on the tree, and there's some cinnamon for you. The parts used are the dried inner bark of the shoots, and other names are canela, cassia bark, Ceylon cinnamon, Chinese cinnamon, dalkini, corfa, rogu, sweet bark, sweet wood sweet. I love that, sweet wood sweet. And zipped. So the word cinnamon comes from an ancient Greek word, which is cinnamomum, which was borrowed from a Phoenician word that's similar to the Hebrew word cinnamon. So Hebraic and then you go back and you're like, well, what's this amomum, like cinnamomum? Because that's a whole other root that kind of plays in too. But the amomum that we've seen in other places, it means fragrant spice plant. So this is also part of that whole thing where it comes from, amomum. So it's the inner bark of a medium-sized, non-flowering tree. And now we're going to look at cassia versus cinnamon. So real cinnamon is called Ceylon cinnamon. And both are Cinnamomum, like the genus Cinnamomum. But real cinnamon comes from the inner bark of the Cinnamomum verum tree, which is native to Sri Lanka. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And the cassia comes from Cinnamomum, that's the cassia tree, which is native to China and other parts of East Asia. So true cinnamon is going to be much sweeter, where cassia cinnamon is going to be more aggressive and assertive. The texture too, you can tell the difference because the texture of real cinnamon is very thin and delicate. When you see the rounds, you can see it's much thinner, where the cassia is much thicker, like the bark is much thicker. So and cassia has a darker reddish brown color and a thicker texture. Cassia sticks are, like I said, are much thicker and harder to break. And they often have the rough bark still attached. So also real cinnamon, if you're looking for health benefits, you probably want to choose the real cinnamon as well, because it has more like of those health and wellness benefits than the cassia. So plant information. So cinnamon is only grown, this true cinnamon, and in significant quantities in 10 countries in the world. So the largest is Sri Lanka, and it was always Sri Lanka, so that's still the largest. Cassia cinnamon is primarily grown in Indonesia today. But true cinnamon is a very risky crop. It's very susceptible to environmental destruction, and so prices are very volatile on cinnamon today. So let's go right into the lore, stories, and cultural importance. So first we're going to
real quick. I thought that I had some of both types of cinnamon, but I think that I don't anymore. I only have one, but
let's see. Hold on, wait. Let me escape. Hold on. I want to stop sharing because I want you to share. Okay, so let's see. Ooh, yes, that's totally different than what you might. That is one. Yeah. That is true cinnamon.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, and you can see how different it is,
yeah.
because when you see the cassia, it's like only like one or two spirals in there, where that's like a million little delicate pieces in there.
And it's so, the other one is so hard to break. Like this one is like papery, you know, like it's easy, but the other one is like so thick.
It is. It is.
Nice.
So exactly. So I love that. That's like a perfect specimen. So let me share again. Okay. So in China. So cinnamon was found in a 5,000-year-old herbal manuscript by Shennong, an emperor of Chinese mythology, who is known as the divine farmer. So he is supposed to have brought us tea, and he's supposed to be the father of traditional Chinese medicine. So in his Herbal, he wrote about cinnamon. Also, and we're going to find out that this is one of the many stories that was used to hide the true origin of cinnamon. And they think this was one of the stories, but it's an interesting story. So Herodotus, is that how you say Herodotus? Herodotus said that cinnamon grew in the land where Dionysus was raised, and where large birds used to build the nest with the sticks of cinnamon. So it's also found in the Bible. We get a Bible account again. So in Exodus 30 in the Old Testament, it's one of the spices given to Solomon by the Queen of Sheba. And it is part of a holy ointment that God ordered Moses to make. So he used olive oil, 500 units of myrrh and cassia, half as much cinnamon and calamus to anoint the sanctuary and furnishings and priests. So in Egypt, we also find this herb in Egypt. So cinnamon is supposed to be an ingredient in the kaifi, which is an Egyptian incense that we've talked about before in other ingredients in kaifi. And it's used as a perfuming agent and used during the embalming process in Egypt. It was used as early as 2000 BCE as a preservative for meat and a flavoring agent. And interestingly enough, you want to hear something funny? So all these BCs and BCEs, and it's to like avoid the Christian or Gregorian calendar, like using the AD and the BC and the AD. BC, and I heard, what is his name? That famous scientist, Tyson, I think wait, is that his name?
Oh.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about it, and he said, that's bull crap. He's like, these people, whoever they were, who cares? Because they figured out a fabulous calendar. Like, it was like really perfect. So why are we like messing with them? Who cares who they were? They did the rad calendar. We should say AD and BC. So he still uses AD and BC. I thought that was really funny. Anyway, just a little side note about that. So in Rome, and this makes me sick. This story like is a pisser. Okay, let me just tell you. Okay, because it shows you what a royal ass Nero was. Okay, first of all, I like to orient us. He ascended to power in 54 AD, so I used AD. So, and he is said to have burned as much cinnamon as he could find on the funeral pyre of his second wife, Poppaea, in 65 AD to atone to the gods for his part in her death. What was his part in her death? I'll tell you what his part in her death. This freaking ass kicked his pregnant wife in the stomach to death. Oh my gosh, dude. I thought Nero is, I can't even believe it's real. Like, why are we, he should be like exiled to the annals of never anybody mentioning his name again. Like, I can't even believe that's real, that this person wasn't strung up by the goddess cults and taken down and like tortured to death after he did such a dreadful thing to his wife. I swear, he should be kicked in his head to death is what he should be done by the women. The women, like, it should be like a what's it called? Like when in Handmaid's Tale, when they all like got around and they like kicked the rape, like that's exactly what should happen.
Yeah. And then he burned some cinnamon and was like, oh, they'll forgive me.
Exactly. It was a lot of cinnamon, though. It was like a year's worth of Rome's total cinnamon supply. Quite a bit of, but who cares? Like, dude, he should burn, like, they should have burned him in the pyre, too. Like, thrown him in the damn pyre is what they should have done. Anyway, and to make matters worse, like, so this whole thing is this whole cinnamon, like, sadly, attached to this horrible Nero death of his wife that he tried to atone with cinnamon. And then it's attached to the spice trade. And again, we're seeing it here again. So first of all, Arabs have total control of the cinnamon trade. They had total control of all sorts of trades, nutmeg, and as we saw before in Raven's last one too, like clove as well. So the Arabs start out in control, and that's where you got this story from Greece and Rome about they make up all these like radical stories about to hide and keep the origins of cinnamon a secret. So they think that that was one of like about the birds, Dionysus, like the birds in the land that Dionysus was born in, using cinnamon sticks. So and then 1400s, the Venetians took control of the trade. So there was a little intermediary there, because in the 1500s, we start in with our normal and usual spice trade way. In 1500s, the Portuguese come in and they conquer the island of Ceylon, which is Sri Lanka, which is known as the Kingdom of Kotte or Kate. I think that's what it should be called. And they found cinnamon, right? And so what do? Well, what they do in every situation. They enslave the people and they torture them and they kill them. Like everyone, like every last one. And then who comes along? Well, who do you think? The Dutch East India Company. Come on, folks. Who could be next but those Dutch coming in to torture people? Next in line, 1796. Who do you think? It's got to be the English. The English now take over. The English East India Trade Company takes over. And then by the 1800s, as is normally the way things are going in this situation, the plants were smuggled off the island. So another dreadful story about spices being used for money. So there you go. The magical property. It's a power punch. It raises spiritual vibration. So I've always used it for that power punch, for that spicy fire energy. I always like cinnamon for that. It's also used for victory. You're supposed to rub it over your hands for victory. And again, it's supposed to draw money, but we know, whatever, use it if you want. It's probably powerful for drawing money because it was used, like the money was they got rid of a whole kingdom for the money of this. So good, use it for money. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, sidewalk wash. If you're so inclined, you could make a sidewalk wash to bring business into your, yeah, you could use it for abundance if you wanted to, but I wouldn't. So consecration, though, it's supposed to also stimulate psychic powers. It's supposed to focus the mind with a protective barrier. So I like that. I kind of like that focus of the mind, and I like the fieriness of it for sure.
Yeah.
It's also supposed to enable communication within a group. So bringing positive energy and peace to rituals, which I like too. And I think it's a fabulous because of this. I have used it at group rituals for this group, like beautiful group community benefit, and to like enhance the group. And it is, especially if you're doing like a type of like infusion or decoction ritual where you're passing a cup, or some people even within in like a chocolate or a cacao ceremony, some people choose to add like other spices to the cacao, and this is would be a very perfect herb or spice to add to that because of it fostering communication and peace and rituals and positive energy within group. It also attracts helpful spirits and guardians. It's an aphrodisiac, spicy. Like that's what, again, I like it better than the lovey-dovey. So it's supposed to be an aphrodisiac, especially to women when it's burned, interestingly enough. So it's also good to cleanse. So you can cleanse a space where bad things have happened by mixing cinnamon with frankincense, myrrh, camphor, and sandalwood. So now the medical things, and this is our disclaimer, okay? If you think we're doctors, you're out of your mind, okay? I'm just saying, if you think you have lost your marbles if you're taking medical advice, like, come on, we're not doctors. Go to your doctor. If you have tuberculosis and you're listening to me, you've got like a brain melt here. Like you got a brain worm.
We have an herb for that.
Exactly. A vermifuge for you. Okay, so the medical properties, it's antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antiseptic, antispasmodic, antiviral, an aphrodisiac, an aromatic, an astringent, a carminative, a demulcent, a hemostatic, and a stimulant. So it's good for the stomach, as a lot of these spices are. A ton of them are. And a lot of the herbs, like the kitchen herbs, they really have a property that soothes your stomach. Like nausea. Oh my gosh, I need to introduce more. And I don't even like cinnamon, but I have like a sensitive stomach. I'm like that. I'm like cinnamon to the way you were with the star anise. Like I don't like cinnamon like at all. I don't do cinnamon rolls. Ugh, it's so gross. Like
so good.
Very limited. I can do cinnamon and chocolate, which is weird. That's why I suggested it, but I can't do like cinnamon rolls like by itself. Make me like nauseated.
So good. I do like peanut butter and banana and cinnamon sandwiches.
Ooh. Peanut butter, banana, and cinnamon. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm doing that. That sounds
so good. Do it.
Oh. Wow. I was trying to, you know what else I like? There's also this weird yogurt that, and shout out to Shivani or whatever that brand is, because they do one of their lowest sugar yogurts it's vanilla and cinnamon. It's so weird, but it's like yogurt. So it's like an unusual, and I like it, which is unusual.
Nice.
Anyway, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, flatulence. So if you're farting up a storm, it seems like anything that's wrong with your stomach there. And also if your womb is hemorrhaging, although again, wow, that sounds horrible. But this is where you're probably going to find it. Okay, so if you go into Sprouts or Fraser Farms or whatever your local health food store is, if you walk in there and you look for cinnamon, the place where you're going to find it is where they lower the blood sugar, all those places for high blood sugar, because it does, it improves sensitivity to insulin is what it does. So at least that's what the research says. It's also used to preserve meats, and it can be used as an insect and ant repellent. But let me tell you, oh my gosh, this is the greatest story on earth. Okay, so back in the day, before like you could just order like those like little drops for ants that would kill the ants, that you just like the gel that you just immediately, it gets rid of the ants. Okay, so instead of doing that, we would try like all these like crazy ant like killers, and one of them was like this cinnamon paste, and I gave it to my daughter, and my daughter like smeared cinnamon paste like all like everywhere on her walls and around like every socket was like like was the grossest. I can't even tell you, like brown and like it was unbelievably like gross looking. Like it was so sad. I was like, oh, that might not have been the best idea, huh? And you know what the worst is, that the ants would crawl right through it.
Oh no.
So even though it's supposed to be an ant repellent, I don't know, you can try your best. Whatever we
I do use it as an ant repellent. In summer we get ants, but I just like break off a piece of cinnamon, and it only really, you can't just like put it everywhere, but I find where they're coming in, and then I put a piece of cinnamon there, and it seems to stop them. I don't know what else was in that paste, but usually cinnamon stick I have, I mean, knock on wood, but I have pretty good
well, there you go.
experience
So
with
you have
that.
one good thing that she did. She just used the stick. So maybe that's the
Yeah.
wisest thing. Is just to put a stick
Just
there.
the stick.
Don't make a paste. Don't start smearing cinnamon.
Just smearing it everywhere.
I can't take it. I'm dying. Okay, so medical. So it's also supposed to be good for your heart. It lowers, because of course it's going to lower your blood sugar or blood pressure. It can lower high cholesterol, and it's good for memory. So cinnamon could improve the memory function, and because it's supposed to reduce this tau protein aggregation, which is associated with Alzheimer's. So that's the function. So if you want, like, go take a picture, and if I were you, I'd start Googling like scholarly literature on tau protein aggregation and Alzheimer's and what cinnamon can do for you, because don't take my word for it. So some say that even smelling cinnamon, though, can help improve memory. So there you go. It also, of course, has the old anti-rheumatism. So it's an because it has anti-inflammatory properties. So there we go. There is my resources. And let me stop the share. Stop share. Hello. So we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.